Hi, this is Roland. Welcome. Today I want to tell you about my listener call-in line. All you have to do is call my listener call-in line and leave your question. A lot of people have a question they want to ask a pastor or ask someone who's interested in spiritual things. Okay, and I've been around a while. This is my 27th year now, and I've written 19 books. I'm working on my 20th book. So, I'd be a good person to ask. You can ask a question. And I'll give the number will appear on the screen very shortly, so you can call. When you leave your message, then if it's a good question, then I'll use it on the air. Okay? You'll actually hear your voice on the air asking the question, and then I'll answer it on the air, on my radio program. And I'll give you a link to my radio program also. My radio program is really cool. It airs every week in Southern California. Of course, you can listen to it program anytime, 24/7 on the internet. So what's a good question? Well, a good question is you state your first name. Okay, you've listened to talk radio. Everybody's listened to talk radio, so you know how you do it. You state your first name and the city you're calling from. Hi, this is Joe from Boston. Hi, this is Mary from Los Angeles. Hi, this is Caitlin from Portland. Okay? Then you ask your question, and that's it. And then I'll answer it on the air. Okay? Now, I'll give you an example. Recently a guy called my listener call-in line, and he said, well, I have a question, but I don't want it on the air. Well, see, it's kind of useless. Because the only good, really, of these questions is that other people have the same question or a similar question, and then it helps others. When I answer your question, it helps others. Okay? But if you ask a question, then I'm not going to call you back. Okay? I'm just too busy. So if you have a question and you want it answered, then leave it on my voicemail. And there's a good chance, if it's phrased properly, in other words, your first name, the city you're calling from, and a question, then it'll be on the air. Okay? I'll answer it on the air. So, I hope you enjoyed today's little video. I didn't deliver any content. Well, maybe I will. I will deliver some content. I'll make it useful for people anyway. He didn't want it on the air, so I won't give his name or the city that he called from or anything. I'll just mention what the question is, because it's a generic question. The question that he had was, he said, well, being a person of faith, he said to me, he said, how do you know that what you believe is true? See, how do you know that it's true? Well, that's a very good question. And my answer is a simple one, but it's very important. It's very profound. And I'll begin with an example, Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein made some great discoveries, earth-shaking, paradigm-shifting discoveries, didn't he? And how did he make those discoveries? It was his intuition. He said it many times. It was his intuition. And then later, experiments confirmed his theory. And I have a quote from him. I wish I had it right in front of me. He said, I forget what it was. I think it was the one where light, he said that light would bend when it goes past the sun. When it goes past, I think it was, I forget how it was, but he said light would bend. And then later, that was discovered to be true. And he said he wasn't really surprised because he knew that it was true. Now, how did he know? He just knew. Okay? It was intuition. He didn't read it. He didn't study it. Nobody told him. It came to him by intuition. He just saw something and he knew. And then later, experiment. So that's the way it is with me. See, it wasn't always this way. Although I have to say that I've always kind of liked the truth all my life. But at a certain point, when I began to possibly be more sincere in my search for truth, then I began to see, and I just knew that it was true. For example, things in the Bible about Jesus and so on. I've always heard them. When I was a little kid, I heard them. I kind of liked what I heard, but I didn't know for sure if it was true. Somebody said it. My teacher said it. My mom said it. My dad said it. The minister said it. I read it in a book. Somebody on the radio said it. See what I mean? But then all of a sudden, I woke up one morning and I just saw. See? Saw that it was true. Like 1 + 1 = true. I see it. Nobody has to teach me that. I can see it. Then I can confirm it by experiments. I can take two objects and put them together and see that they equal 2, but I see it anyway. So that's true religion. It's intuitive. It's gut level. It's wordless. You just wordlessly see. I'll give you another example, then I'll make an end to this little video. Okay, I'm talking about a question that a guy called in on my listener call-in line and asked the question, how do you know that what you believe is true? And my answer is, I see that it's true. Okay? So, it's not because my teacher said it, or some professor said it, or some book said it, or some expert said it. But I just see. Okay? I'll give you another example. You can have you can have a little kid, 3 years old, sitting at the table. And the parents give more French fries to her brother than to her. Okay? And she sees that that's unfair. Okay? You gave him more than me. She's 3 years old. She sees the unfairness. How does she see? Or, I'll give you another example. A 3-year-old, and she sees that someone's being cruel to someone else, accusing someone of something they didn't do or something like that. She sees that it's unfair. She sees the injustice. Now, how does she know that it's unjust? Treating one child nicer than another child. She sees that it's unfair. She didn't go to school yet. She didn't have to take any college courses in ethics. Didn't have to listen to anybody say it. She just sees it. It's that simple. So that's a faculty called intuition, which God gives us, so that we can see things for ourselves. He wants you to see for yourself. Then later, confirmation will come along. Okay? So if I say to you that resentment is wrong, there's something wrong with resentment. It's a little bit of hate. It's a little bit of judgment. And I say that chances are, I'm talking generically I'm just throwing it out at the general audience. If you resent someone, see, that's not good. Okay? Now I say that. Okay? And people don't really see it. Or they say, oh yeah. But they resent anyway, for some reason. But if one day you really see it, you really see that resentment is wrong, your whole life changes for the better. Okay? And the only way you can see it is when you see it. They often say that with people who are like drug addicts. They say they don't really change, truly change until they see their own wrong. In other words, they're no longer in denial over it. They really see it. So I'll give you another example. And I've used this many times, but I'll use it again because I always get new listeners and new viewers. It's a true example. This actually happened. It's true. A man was driving his car and he was angry. He's an angry young man. He was angry at he started off being angry at his mom and his dad and other kids and bullies and unfair, cruel teachers and society. He was just angry at everything. He was just angry. So he was driving along, and then some lady pulled in. She changed lanes in front of him, and he thought she cut him off. Well, she probably didn't, but he thought she did. She was just driving. He was so angry. So he drove forward in an angry way and pulled up beside her car, pulled his car up there, side by side with her car, and rolled the window down and started screaming mean things at her. Okay? Well, she had a little girl was sitting in the passenger seat in her car. Her little girl was sitting there. And she looked at him and saw his mean face, and she burst into tears. And the little girl was sitting in the passenger seat next to her mommy, and she looked and saw that mean man in the car next to her yelling mean things and had a mean expression on his face. She burst into tears. Well, the angry young man saw her burst into tears. And then he pulled over into a parking spot and just sat there and began to sob. Great big sobs, heaving sobs. Because he saw the expression on the little girl's face as she started to cry. Woke him up to see his own wrong. That he was filled with resentment, filled with anger, filled with hostility. And he saw it. Okay? And his life began to change. That wasn't the only thing that changed his life, but it was one thing. One important thing. Began to change for the better. Okay? So how do I know? So if you don't see, so let's say there's something you'd like to know about God or about Jesus or about something, and you don't know. Okay? Then you know what? Just wait until you do know. Just have it as a question to wonder about. See, wondering is innocent. That's innocent. There's nothing wrong with wondering. You just wonder. And wait. See? Say, well, I'd like to know. Yeah, I'd like to know the truth. I really would. But I don't know. And then just admit that you don't know. Then don't look to anyone else. See, don't accept something just because somebody said so. No matter how many degrees they have on the wall, or how fancy their robes are, or how nice they look, or how everyone says they're wonderful or smart or whatever, just leave it as a question. And if they tell you something about it, then say, well, that's interesting, and just let it go in one ear and out the other, and say, but wait until you see for sure, and then one day, you know what? You'll wake up and you'll see, and you'll just know. My name is Roland.